Hello, I'm Alif Amirul bin Rusli, ID 25438, and my topic is deep move out. A little bit introduction about deep move out is in a flat reflector, a common midpoint, the midpoint between source and receiver, is always vertically above the common reflection point where the seismic ray path reflects. So, but in deeping reflector, the reflection points are different and none of them are below CMP. So when we do stacking, it ignores the different reflection point and sum up different traces at different points. So this could lead to a wrong interpretation. This is known as smearing. This diagram shows the uncorrected CMP gather in flat reflector and also dipping reflector. So before we perform any migration, the dipping reflector appears to be faster and the effects are not centered. But if we perform NMO migration to the CMP gather, we can see that the dipping reflector appears to be overcorrected. This is because a flat layer model NMO velocity is too slow for a dipping horizon. So NMO will always overcorrect the dipping horizon. The stacking velocity for dipping reflector can be calculated using this formula. VNMO equals to RMS velocity divided by cos theta. Theta is the dipping angle of the dip reflector. From the picture below, we can also see that the velocity is dip dependent. So in 1971, Levin came up with a formula for migration of traces in deep reflector. And the formula are divided into two parts, which is the NMO part and also the DMO part. In the NMO part, it is T squared at time 0 plus X squared over V squared. T squared at time 0 is the line in the dipping reflector which is perpendicular to the surface midpoint, and X squared is the offset between source and receiver. V is the velocity of medium. In the DMO part, it is X squared times sin square phi over V squared. The new variable phi here is the angle of dipping of the reflector. So the equation is the NMO part must subtract the DMO part, and then we can get the deep move out for the migration in dipping reflector. In seismic processing, we always assume these four main stages. Number one, it is assumed that the reflection point in pre-stack CDP is located midpoint position between source and receiver, and the reflection is recorded at time Tx. 2. After NMO correction, arrival time Tx is moved to zero offset time, T0, but the reflection is still located below the midpoint position. Number 3, DMO moves this reflection to true zero offset distance, which is the location between source and receiver, where the true zero offset ray normal to the reflector is recorded at the surface. This is the process that eliminates CDP smearing. Number 4, after post-stack migration, the reflection is moved to its correct subsurface location below surface position and to its accurate recording time. This is the DMO processing assumptions visualized in a diagram. So number 1, we can see here that the pre-stack CDP is in midpoint position between source and receiver. Number 2, here we start applying NMO and the arrival time move to zero offset position. Then we will apply DMO, deep move up, to move the traces to true zero offset distance in S here, which is true offset, zero offset distance. Then we're gonna apply post-stack migration to move the traces to the true subsurface location. Lina et al. Came up with a formula to calculate DMO amplitude in 1995. The formula is move out up deep equals to x squared over d cos phi sin phi. X is the half source receiver offset, d is the depth to the reflector at midpoint, and also phi is the reflector local dip. The formula by Lina can be visualized by the diagram shown in this slide. Even though deep move out solves a lot of dipping reflectors problem, it also comes with a number of limitations as discovered by a lot of geophysicists over the years. In 1987, Mong states that DMO theory develops around assumptions that constant RMS velocity exists along all seismic rise paths, which is a not suitable geological model, and this could lead to degradation of seismic data using DMO when compared to conventional NMO. In 1994, Rosen et al. Applied DMO on transversely isotropic and anisotropic layer. He found out that the phenolite data in anisotropic layer does not move to its correct position. Both experiments by Hale and Utley 1993 and Hawkins et al. In 1995 showed that even in a simple vertically layered medium, constant velocity DMO is not accurate in correcting kinematics of dipping reflectors. Biondi in 1998 finds out that even depth variable DMO is quite sensitive to accuracy of input velocity function. They also often have casts and triplication. This is the work done by Roldan et al. In 1994. He shows that DMO in anisotropic layer will produce bad results. In the above diagram, anisotropic layer with isotropic DMO, this will produce maximum coherency in the horizontal event only. But when he changed the stacking velocity in the below picture, the anisotropic layer with isotropic DMO shows maximum coherency in dipping event. This shows that with isotropic DMO, we could not get a clear view of the subsurface geology and produces a bad geological data. A lot of methods have been tested to overcome the problem with constant velocity DMO. One of them is founded by the research of Gonzalez et al. In 1992. The team developed a method called transversely isotropic DMO or TIDMO. This method uses the angle versus group velocity relation as DMO operator. The advantage for this method is it removes the deep dependence of stacking velocities. In the diagram below, we can see that in an anisotropic layer, by using TIDMO, it shows maximum coherency both in horizontal event and also in dipping reflector. So this could overcome the problem caused by constant velocity DMO. As there are many limitations in deep move out DMO, some geophysicists have argued for another method to be used for correcting dipping reflectors. One of them is Bondi. In 1998, he suggested an alternative called azimuth move-up. The operator for azimuth move-up is equivalent to the chain of DMO, but it is followed by inverse DMO. He argued that the advantage of azimuth move-out is when velocity function increase with depth, the partial stacking after AMO is more accurate than partial stacking after constant velocity DMO. He also stated that as it is a residual operator, it is spatially more compact and computationally less expensive. The below diagram is a CMP gathers after NMO and application of in A binning, B AMO, and C DMO. The reflection point of interest is at 2.2 seconds. We can see in AMO, the fault is more visible that compared to in DMO. The future for solving deep move-out or any dipping reflection will be solved by using AMO and also modified version of DMO. The criteria for which method will be chosen are going to be decided by the exploration budget and whether which process are more computationally efficient to get the results that we wanted. AMO, despite being proven to be more accurate, it still isn't popular in today's exploration. A proper study with real-life application of the method should be used in the future to confirm whether this method is good or not. Modified version of deep move-out remains popular in exploration. This can be shown in 2014. Huang et al. Studied the impact of DMO in 3D imaging by applying squeezing DMO, which is a modified version of DMO, in Katzin, Germany for carbon dioxide exploration. He concludes that DMO correction yields better velocity spectrum with better defined stacking trend.